Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Well, happy Super Bowl for everybody out there, right? Hi, this is Carrie here, your favorite virtual assistant. Today's conversation is going to be all about love because, of course, leading up to Valentine's Day, right? So, Gail, let's get this conversation started. Introduce our guest, and let's begin.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy Sunday chat. Welcome to our conversation about entrepreneurship and love, whether it's possible to find romance as a business owner. My name is Gale Withers. I am the CEO and lead training consultant with Envision Training Solutions. And my superpower is growing your team through exciting, fantabulous training programs so that everybody can learn, grow, and earn together. With me today is Lucille Redic. She is our resident. Lucille, you're going to introduce yourself because you are our phenomenal go to person when it comes to love and relationships. And Heather Tucker, she is our sex coach. I don't know if we can say that word out loud on LinkedIn, but she helps you manage those intimate things. And Karen, you forgot to introduce yourself. So tell the people who you are, and then we'll get started with today's conversation, Lovepreneurship 101 tips for, finding romance, even if you are out to all trying to manage your small business.
Oh, shoot. Yes.
Karen.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, hi, Gail. I'm virtual assistant. I work with healthcare professionals, and I help them with administrative tasks in a business. And of course, with that, you're able to focus on what you like to focus on with your creative genius.
Thank you
So,
so much.
yes,
So,
ma'am.
Lucille and Heather, we're going to start with you first. Before
Okay.
we get into the meat of today's conversation, tell us a little bit, maybe in two sentences, about yourself and how you got to be doing what you're doing today.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome, Super Bowl Sunday. My name is Heather Tucker, and I am a Christian sex coach. And I decided to get into this field because my husband and I overcame 12 years of not having any sex. And so after that, I felt compelled to just share what I've learned. I went back to school and got all my licenses, and I just really wanted to help other couples to feel more comfortable with the sex conversation so that they could get everything that they needed in the bedroom to feel completely fulfilled in their relationships.
That sounds very good. So, Lucille, yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Lucille Redic, as she said. I'm here from Dallas, Texas. I'm an Amazon bestselling author, TEDx speaker, and I am a marriage reconnection coach. Same way with Heather, I try to support women uh, because I had some amazing support in the early years of my marriage. We just celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary, and I am on a mission to save marriages, as many as I can, from the emotional pain and life disruption that divorce causes.
Mm,
Wow,
mm,
that's really great, Lucille. You've been married
mm.
longer than I have been alive. That's so cool. Well done, well done. So I'm gonna start with you, Lucille. Like, how much of a challenge do you think it is for an entrepreneur to find romance? A male looking for a female or vice versa.
I think it is challenging, and one of the reasons why is because your energy is going to go where your focus goes, right? So, normally, as an entrepreneur, if you're starting a business, that's your little baby, and
Yeah.
you're putting a lot of energy into nurturing that baby to get up to a certain, level where you want your business to be at. Uh, but you have to be just as strategic about your personal life too. If you're married, if you're single, you still have to put aside some time for that. And I think the entrepreneurs that I talk to, a lot of times they are so single focused that it becomes a big challenge. And I don't think that it has to be, but you have to, I guess, be cognizant of the fact and really put some things in place to get the things that you want.
Mm.
Heather, so of course I'm gonna ask you the next question, following on from Lucille. So your energy goes where your focus goes. So when I come home and I am so tired that I don't have energy to do the other things that other people may think I need to be doing, how does that play out?
Well, as a sex coach, your energy goes where, if the energy's not there, you're not going to have the big O come down. Like
Yeah.
you have to be focused. And I think for a lot of men and women that I both work with, because it's not just the females, even the males, they struggle to find pleasure too sometimes. They just, people go through the motions. You don't have a lot of time in the day, and you're just, you need to, right, Lucille? It's like, you need to come together because God says we're supposed to come together. We're not supposed to have too much time in between, because our enemy is roaring around like a lion trying to find who he can devour. And I feel like
Absolutely.
our enemy
Yeah.
goes after married couples, because if he knows that he can cause division and break up a couple, that makes Christians as a whole less effective, and then we're not getting the word of God out as effectively. So to me, when I saw the enemy attack our marriage, I was like, oh, heck no.
Hmm.
This is not going to happen. And so that's why I decided I'm staying. That's the energy that I brought. I'm like, I could leave. My husband was saying no to me for all my advances. I was initiating sex. He said no for 12 years. I could have left. Many
Hmm.
people would have left after 6 months or a year, but I knew there was a reason for this, and I don't know what it is. It was hell going through it. I didn't know the reason, but I made that commitment to stay. And I'm so glad that I did, because had I not stayed and given our marriage a chance, I wouldn't have been able to then put my creative energy into creating something to bring to the world to help them if they go through periods of sexlessness.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point, Heather. Like, really, the fact that you was committed to your marriage and to stay, it speaks volume, right? Because a lot of us, I cannot say a lot of people who say they will stay, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes around that topic of sex, because it's something that it's a need. Like, we all have to pretend that it's not a need, but it is a need,
Yep.
especially in a marriage, especially in a union. So when it's 12 years in and you feel like your husband is not contributing to that or not accepting your advances, that got to play your self esteem a little bit.
Oh, huge.
Especially as a
Oh yeah.
woman.
I mean, I lost all confidence. I mean, you should have seen. I looked down. We were talking about before we went live about how certain cultures, they tend to look down just to like protect themselves from different things. So
Mhm.
for me, I did like my confidence went so low that I stopped approaching, and I was struggling in work. I mean, it just impacts so many different areas of our
Yeah.
lives. It really does.
Yeah. Now that we talk about the topic of sex. So when you start dating someone, right? You're ready. I mean, vetting. No, dating. At that point, you're already courting. Because I feel like should the sex conversation come in?
Yeah, like it needs to come up, Lucille. I know you're going to agree, because her and I talked about this before. The vetting, like when you guys are vetting and you're out there dating, it has to come up within the first couple of conversations. That should be part of the vetting. You don't want to catch feelings first and then have to undo everything and unwind yourself. That's way, 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 way harder. So I always recommend, especially if I'm working with somebody that's single and they're wanting, like their goal is marriage, I'm like, you have to say your goal is marriage. Even if this guy is super hot and you don't want to lose him, and you're like, oh, he does all the things for me. Like, I could see myself like with him, laying with him. Like, you just start, oh, I'm married and we got kids. Like, you know how you do when you're like, oh my God, I could see a life with this person. But what if he doesn't have any intention of getting married?
Yeah.
You don't want to waste time. So always have these vetting conversations way up front, even if it's way uncomfortable, and you might surprise the gentleman or the lady, like, wow, this is early. Well, do we want to waste each other's time? No. You know?
Absolutely.
That's a good point. What do you take? What is your take on this, Lucia? That's a good point because
Hey,
as a woman, right? Sometimes people might think, "Oh, you're giving a guy a message that you just want sex type thing." So, what do you take on this? How how soon is too soon, right? Is it the second date? Like, hey, what's going on? What do you like this week? You know?
I agree with Heather 100%. And when I was dating and looking for marriage, I let it be known that that's what I was dating for, that I
Mhm.
was dating for marriage. I was not casually dating. I was not out here just, we going to see how it's going to work.
Right.
Yeah, there's intentionality here. And so I think that when people can be upfront and what do you call it, transparent from the very beginning, that this is what I'm looking for. I think women, especially the women that I talk to, a lot of times they feel like you said earlier, that oh, if I bring it up too soon, it's gonna scare him off or whatever. No, I say bring it up as soon as you feel comfortable enough. And you might not want to do it on the first day, you might not want to do it on the second day, but as Christians, I pray about things. So I say, Lord, prepare hearts, prepare minds, so that this conversation can be had, so that we can know what our intentions are from the very beginning. Because if you're dating with intentionality, and you've met a guy that you're trying to get to know, and he's saying, no, I can't see marriage for me until I get to this level. It might be 5 years or whatever. I'm not dating for that. I'm dating just for companionship, for the sex, whatever it is. You need to know that going in, so you don't waste your time, he doesn't waste his time, and you can get on the same page. When you're weeding through stuff, you got to weed through some things. And I think we get so involved with, oh, he looks good, he's going to look, I think Heather, you said it earlier, he's going to look good next to me, his name sounds good with my name,
And our children are going to be beautiful.
Our children are beautiful, we got the beautiful house with the picket fence, and we got the 2.5 kids, whatever, and so we don't have the important questions. But I think it's so important to have the important questions up front.
I
Just wait.
agree.
You know what? And I think it should be done like if you're meeting someone online. So let's say you're doing online dating, and you're just looking at a profile, and then you decide to match with them, and you're just DMing right in the beginning before you decide to meet in person. That, to me, that's when those conversations should come up, like right away. Like, we don't need to meet each other in person if I want to get married and you don't. Like, there's no point.
True. That's a good point, because I was going to bring up online dating. Is it a name? Oh yeah, because some people have this. Everybody have their own feeling towards online dating. Some people think it's desperate. Some people think that's the only way they find mates online. So what do you ladies think about? Is it yes? No? Maybe.
Well, I met my husband online, so.
Oh, okay. Let's hear this.
Yeah, I mean, I had come out of an abusive relationship with my first husband. And I really wanted to take that time to investigate. I felt like I didn't want to put myself out there right away in person. So online dating had just come out. Like, it was literally maybe 6 months or something prior. So I went onto this website, oneandonly.com. I don't think they're even around anymore. But I just went on there one night when I was bored, and I was feeling kind of lazy and not wanting to go out to the bar or something. I'm like, I just don't want to go to the bars, why do we have to always go to the bars to meet people? So I decided to go on and just create a profile. And what caught my husband's eye was that I said up front that I am a born-again Christian. I'm looking for somebody that carries the same faith. I have 2 kids. So I put everything in the profile. And that to him spoke volumes, because he had been online dating already for a lot of things. And a lot of what he found out about the person was after he met them. So they didn't put enough information for him to really make a good decision. So he wasted a lot of time.
Oh wow, that's a good point. That's a very good, valid point. When it comes to, I feel like for me, because it should be a mix, right? At least for me, I do a mix of online dating, but I don't think that should be the only way. I like to go out to meet people, because then I get a sense of your energy up front, right? And I feel like that's telling to me. Especially, I'm a person that connects with energy. And if I like the energy, then it's possible we can move. Especially that at the first conversation, if it's interesting and it's a great conversation, then possible is, okay, he's interesting. I would like to get to know this person. But if I know the conversation we meet up is gonna be, then it's no point for me to even show interest.
Yeah.
So I think it should be a mix of meeting online and in person, right?
Yeah.
That's just my take on that.
Online dating wasn't a thing when I was dating, but they did have services. And I remember I was going to sign up with this service called Great Expectations. So I don't know if I'm telling if y'all have ever heard of that, but that was a matchmaking service back in the day. And I was totally open to it. But I knew my husband. He was a friend of mine. and we had been on a bowling team. So, and we were from the same neighborhood, so we knew a lot of the same people and everything. So, um, I guess that's the reason why I didn't carry that forward. But if I were to, if in this day and time, I am totally for the online dating. I think that I don't know how adults meet other people. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in school, when you're in
Yeah.
college, you have a big pool of people that you can pull from. So as an adult, if you're only working and maybe you're at church, working in your ministry, you may would meet someone there, but I'm just not sure how I would actually meet someone if I didn't add the online piece to it to be able to open up the pool to people. And I would go into that thing strategically, like she said.
Yeah.
Like she said, I'm gonna put all my cards up front, and then I'm gonna start betting because
Yeah.
once because we could put anything online, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
and I
true.
think that's what trips people up is you gotta. I'm a skeptical person. I'm an
Mhm.
auditor,
Same.
so I go. I'm a skeptical person. I'm an auditor, so I go into things with auditor brain.
Right.
And
Okay.
if I meet a guy and he says I'm a Christian, I own my own home, I do well with my finances or whatever, then I'm gonna start looking for evidence to verify that. Okay, do you go to church and do you talk about the Lord outside of church? Does that come into play with any of your decision making? Okay, then I can check. Okay, do you really own your own home? Let me vet and see. Okay, who that home name in? Okay, that's in your sister's name. That's the house your mother left to y'all. Okay, you didn't buy the
About
home.
the house.
No, serious. You need to know. Okay, so now I need to look at what you do with your finances. Because if you really good about finances, which that's what I want most people want somebody that's good with their finances, right? You
Yeah.
don't want a person that's in debt up to their eyeballs.
Yeah,
Then
that's
let's
true.
see what you're doing financially. Let me see, what
Mhm.
do you spend your money on? Do you have a boat that you bought? You got all the toys, the motorcycle, all of this. What are you actually putting your money in? Do you have a 401k? You got a Roth IRA? You got something where you preparing for the future? See, I'm gonna verify all of this.
Yeah.
And I don't have no problem verifying, because if you saying you want to mesh life
Lucille's
with
best
me,
friend works at the NYPD detective.
Heather, I got friends in high and low places.
Ooh, child.
Oh,
So, baby, I don't have no problem getting the background on you. I'm gonna
oh
find it.
my God.
Lucy, we're gonna talk offline.
But I
Right?
think that's where women and men, I think they mess up. You don't vet the person. You just go
I
by what
agree.
they're saying,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
to Heather's point, she said she put on there, she got 2 kids, she's a born again Christian or whatever. Okay, a guy seeing that, he could come out and say, oh, I'm gonna say everything that I think she wants to hear in that regard,
Yeah.
but he's not gonna be able to keep up that facade for too long.
Lucille,
Yeah.
that was my ex. My ex-husband was exactly what you just said.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
see, the facade has to come down at a certain
Yeah.
point. So you're gonna see the real person, but you got to stay in it long enough and hold back when you're dating. Now, sex in marriage, let it fly. Have all the
Right.
sex you can, anytime you
Right.
can. If
Right.
you're healthy, I think you should have it as much as you can. But before
Right.
marriage, no, you need to hold back on that, because that's how you get soul ties and
That's
Right.
true.
Oh,
diseases and
it's
all
so
of these
hard.
other things. You get tied into that because the sex can be so good. You be like,
Mm-mm.
oh,
That's
I
the
don't want to let this go. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me.
Yeah. No, you're
no.
dropping the bombs, Lucille.
Yeah, but it's
It
true.
is
It's
true.
true.
It
No.
is very
But
true.
it clouds your judgment, because
Yeah,
you
It
I
like,
does.
agree.
I
I
like
Yeah,
this
and
agree.
guess
feeling
what?
when
When
we
you
was
get married,
together.
you're pulling in the relationships from, and now you're thinking about that when you're having sex with your husband. So the less that you can fool around, the less mindset stuff you're going to have that's going to get in the way of your husband and like your whole partnership with the sex life.
No,
Absolutely.
that's true. I agree with you, ladies, as far as just holding back on sex, just because it does cloud the judgment. It does. Once you go there, sometimes, you like that's all you see, the perfection. You miss the red flags, and you're not really paying attention. So I think that's for me. I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
And let's switch a little bit. What about boundaries, right? When you meet somebody, especially as an entrepreneur, should you let the person know up front that you're an entrepreneur, and how much should you share?
You say in regards to what? Letting them know what you're an
Yeah, like
entrepreneur.
let them know
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur, and this is what you do for a business, because you ultimately want somebody that's supportive, right? But then of course as an entrepreneur, content is part of it as well, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, I think that's my struggle as
Okay.
a single
I
person.
mean, everybody's online, so anybody can check out any one of us and see that we run a business.
Mm-hmm.
Some people
That's,
Yeah.
do.
I
So
think that people looking and interested in any one of us is gonna think, oh, let's go see what she does. Let's go see if she's online. Let's go see what kind of pictures does she post. Is she showing too much body?
Right.
Because men look at that. If us as women are showing too much body and we're single, men are automatically gonna think, oh, she runs around. She's gonna run around on me if we get married. So, there's all these things that they could just search, right, Lucille? It's like I don't even know if we have to verbally say, oh, or even feel like insecure about saying I own my own business or I make this amount of money if we end up having those conversations, because like Lucille said, you can just go and search that stuff already.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
well, I mean, if I was to give an example of what Karen may be saying, so if you take me for example, and Lucille, I'm going to go back to a comment you made about like going out and online dating, because if you don't go out, how are you going to meet this person? So I think you may need to first decide, do you want romance, which is different to marriage? You might just want companionship and the roses and stuff, but you may not want a long-term relationship. Or you might need to know first, I guess, what you really want. And I say that because, like, for me, I'd like to meet people, but I don't go anywhere. So my friends will tell you my mate will probably be a carpenter who comes to do work, or a plumber, or the gardener, or somebody like that, because you're not going anywhere, Gail. So how are you going to meet this person of your dreams? Because he's going to stay in your dreams forever and never materialize. But then for me, I'm very upfront. So I would have to say, I run a business. I am always doing, thinking, eating, sleeping the business. I'm out to all. I'm by myself for right now. I don't have energy to do anything. So for sure, I don't even have energy to get to know you. I don't want to have these long conversations. I am
But
just
you know
gonna
what,
meet you.
Gail, that's gonna
I'm
show
gonna get
them.
Lucille to I don't want to say stalk Lucille. I'm gonna get Lucille to investigate you. And sometimes, no, but seriously, sometimes I think you need to frame, and that's just me. Sometimes you might need to frame your expectation. I am not the person who is going to be calling you every night I get home. When I say home, every time I shut off from my job, to have that 1 hour conversation with you. I am not. I don't have the time. I just do not. I want the romance and I want the marriage. I don't have the
All
time.
right, hush your
Okay,
mouth.
So
wait a minute. Wait,
I am unique. Y'all
wait
are
just a
gonna have to
minute.
use me as a case study and see how you can help me. But Lucy, I was just trying to explain, I think, what Karen was saying. Like,
Yeah.
do I say up front, listen, I run my own business. I don't really have the time. I'd like to get to know you, but I just want to manage your expectations. I'm not the kind of girl who's going to be on the phone with you for hours, all night. I may be able to fit in a Friday night for a quick date. We might go for, I'm just saying, like, I think you need to manage people's expectations so that when he tries to reach me and
Yeah,
he
that's
doesn't
true.
reach me, it's because I am busy
Yes.
running
Okay.
my own business, trying to make money. But of course, if you have the Porsche and the Mercedes Benz and the swimming pool, we could have a different kind of conversation, because then I wouldn't even need to work. I wouldn't need to work. I would work because I want to, and I wouldn't be pressured to work.
Right.
There's so many
Okay.
moving parts.
It is. I mean, wait a
Um,
minute.
yeah. So before we get to, I want you to also think of this, Lucille, before you answer, and Heather. All jokes aside, one of the most important conversations I think we need to have with whoever that person is, you need to ask them about how they grew up. So, for example, if you want children and you want your dream person to be a good mom or a good dad, you might need to find out how they were raised, because if they didn't have sometimes that parent who's the good example, they might bring that trauma into your marriage, and then you're wondering, oh, he's not a good father, she's not a good mother, like, what happened? Or she's not managing money well. But it's all those generational things that go on in the background that we may not take time to find out, and I'm speaking from personal experience, that then come into the marriage and you're wondering, oh, where did that come from? But it was always there, you just
Mhm.
didn't know it was there.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a lot to unpack
It's a lot, it's
that
a
you
lot.
said. So let me just start out with one thing that you said. Should you manage expectations, and I think absolutely you should manage expectations, and here's why. Men and women, anybody, but especially a man, he wants to see his place where he can fit into your life.
Mm.
Okay, so um, if you want a man in your life, then you've got to make space for him. So if that's not what you want, then I don't see why you would even take the time to vet someone. You know what I'm saying? If all you want, and I think like what you said was being clear about what it is you want. And let's talk about a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan, because Gail, you may not want somebody right now, but what about in 10 years? What do you want in 10 years to look like? Well, the seeds of that have to start right now, because you can't wake up 10 years from now and make 10 years from now look like it needs to look. So knowing what you want, if I say, if Donnie, the guy, the ladies, Gail and Karen, they know my husband. If Donnie were to die or leave me, either one, it's okay. I wouldn't even trip about it. But if I said I'm gonna be married again in 2 years, then that's what I would do. I would start working on what it would take in order for me to meet and uh, find someone that I could share my life with in the next 2 years. And I would use all of the means necessary. That would be online dating. That would be if the carpenter came to my house, the pool man, the mechanic. It would be, I would be open to whatever the Lord would lead my way, because that's where I would start with. I would start with prayer, and I would ask the Lord and let him know what the desires of my heart are, and then I would be open for that. So I guess all I'm just trying to say is that what we want, we have to um, take steps towards that, and it's not going to just happen. So if you want to meet someone, you'll actively take steps to do that. If you're wanting a husband down the line, you'll have to actively take steps to do that. Um, that's the only way I know how to do it. And managing those expectations up front is part of it. Is just saying, yes, I really do want someone, and I'm willing to put you in my life with my business, because I want my business to get to a certain level. But that's where I think the open conversations come in with, this is what I'm trying to get to. And I don't mind including someone else in this, because Gail, I mean, on a cold night, I don't know how many cold nights Barbados have, but
We don't
envision
have a lot. We don't have a lot, but we
That,
use
that's
use
probably
a lot of
why.
thick. We use a lot of
envi-
thick blankets. A lot of thick blankets, Lucy.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know, envision training is not gonna keep you warm, baby. And you want that little companionship and
It is true.
that little tickle,
Tickle,
that.
tickle. Yeah. I see Heather laughing. I don't know why she's laughing and
So
pointing at you,
I'm
Lucille.
I'm gonna let Heather give her. I'm gonna let Heather give her
Well,
Yeah,
part.
I mean, Gail gave her example, and I know that we all come from different backgrounds and different examples, different lifestyles, different time frames that we have for a relationship. But Gail, if I was a man and you met me, and the first thing that you said to me was, I work, I barely have time, I'm not going to make time, my work is important, that would be very off-putting. So I just want to encourage you, because I know that this is what you're wanting, and anybody
Sorry.
that's anybody that's listening. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you I really just want to encourage everyone that's listening, and you too,
Mm-hmm.
to think about the wording that you say and how it can impact, because it's not that you are putting out that you want less, and it's not that you don't want to be truthful about that, but it's in the how that you are saying it. And then you also
Agree.
said, but if I meet somebody and they have the income, then I won't have to work as hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that could also be a conversation that you could have with somebody that maybe you feel a little special about. Like, and maybe you don't want to work as hard. Maybe you feel like you're working hard because you have to work hard to pay your bills. So maybe that's not even something that you wish that you had to be doing. So I think that if we all of us get in touch with, what do I really want
Mm-hmm.
my ultimate life, my dream life to look like? What am I doing? What is my partner doing? How much time are we coming together? and you start putting that out into the universe and you're praying about all those particular things, you're going to draw in the right person that's going to understand that work's important to you because you need to make money. And then maybe that man will say to you, hey, honey, I have this to offer and I'm falling for you. Would this help if we pulled our money together so that you don't have to work as hard? And that way we have more time together. So just making sure you're having these open, very detailed conversations, not holding anything back. That is going to be how you guys get everything that you want out of your life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep, I agree. I was just trying to be, I guess, devil's advocate
Mm-hmm.
because one of the things I know is that you have to be clear what you want. And I don't want right now. I have too much going on, honestly, to be even looking for somebody. And I think when you get to that point where you say to yourself, you know what, I'm ready to look for your for some, yeah, for your body or your special person, is when you start to put a plan in place. Because, we talked about earlier, wasting time. And I would not want to waste that person's time. As you can tell, my brain is all over the place. I am not in that space where I would be a good person to have a romantic relationship with, because my mind is not settled. And to be honest, I'm pretty good by myself right now. I'm not getting any tickles that I need to address right now. And I know that Karen, on the other hand, she's really out there looking for her soulmate, and I
Yeah.
hope that she finds him. And I'm sure there are guys out there looking for their soulmates as well. I'm
Mhm.
Oh,
just
yeah, they
saying,
definitely
if
are.
you have somebody who's listening who is not in that space yet, so what Lucille is saying, if your goal is 5, 10 years, yes, you have to start to work on achieving that goal before you get to that goal,
Yeah.
until you get 10 years down the road and then start to put in your work. But for me right now, I know that I'm not good romantic material. I'm not good marriage material. I'm just realistic. You need to,
Yeah, but I love that you
what
guys
did Lucille say?
are.
If you need space, if you want that someone, you have to make space for that someone, and you have to know what that someone is gonna look like. What do you want that someone to bring to the relationship? I am so busy right now trying to build my business. I know that I'm not a relationship person. I'm
Okay.
just being honest. So I would not even waste your time by having that conversation. I'll say, "Oh, you're handsome," and he'll tell me, "Oh, hey, honey, you look sweet," and I will say, "Well, you know what? Yeah." You just need to be
Nobody
real.
send
You need
Gale
to
a
be real. I am
DM.
not romantic. I am good. I am good. I am not tickling. I'm not nothing. I'm just good.
Okay.
Gail's her DMs are closed. Don't send her a DM.
Yeah, she's
Right. If it's not
she,
money related,
No,
don't
she not
bother.
take she's not
no,
taking no applications right
I'm
now.
not taking any
Right.
applications right now. But if you want me to say a word to Karen for you, yeah, you can slide into my DMs and I'll pass them on to Karen for you.
And I know,
No, no,
But
no.
actually,
I think that
pass them
seriously,
to
don't you
me.
think
Pass them
that
to me because I
that's
need to
the
vet them first before.
yes.
Yes, pass it to Lucille. She gonna vet them for me first,
Um,
and then she'll send them over my way.
but on a serious note, don't you think it's just as important to know whether you are ready or not ready? Like I'm not ready. I think it's
Yeah.
good to know where you
Yep,
are in your
Yeah.
space and
you
what
have to know.
you, especially so
Hmm.
that's like if you get divorced and then in that trauma you haven't healed, but you think you want to get another husband because you want that husband to be better than the first husband, but you haven't healed, you're not ready.
Mm.
And then that new person you're meeting, they don't know that you're not ready, and then it gets messy.
And
So
sometimes you don't understand that you do carry that over to another relationship because no one's ever talked to you about that. I mean,
Hmm.
especially in the Christian world, we're not taught to go to therapy. We're taught to just pray and read the
Yeah.
Bible, and that's pretty much it. They don't bring a lot of practical therapy in. The newer churches that I have been following, like Elevation Church and TD Jakes, and some of that, like they talk about how important it is, and that God put practical therapy to help us to be better people. So I love that these bigger churches are starting to talk about it and to normalize it, because I think that if all of us can heal from so many of these things that we may or may not realize are getting in the way and that are causing us to self-sabotage our relationships and all these things, I think that we'll just be better people and we'll have longer lasting relationships because we're going to be walking around with more awareness of ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I agree. I
I
think that, at
agree.
least for me, therapy has done wonders, and it helps me understand certain things and be aware of certain things as well. So I think for me, it's just it's great to have done some form of therapy just to be aware because we all carry something from our past, right? So
Yeah,
especially
all
past
of us.
relationships.
Hmm.
So I think it's good to just work on that prior to jumping on something new, just because you don't want to bring that on to somebody else. You don't want to, let's say, you don't want to bleed on somebody else, especially with that trauma. And in
Yeah.
closing, I do want to, okay, so I've been on, I love TikTok. I don't know if you guys know, but on TikTok, there's this hot topic going around stating, should you find a mate before you become successful or versus finding a mate after you become successful, right? I'm gonna before I say my take, what do you ladies think? Would it be is it when it comes to finding a mate? To some people, it's worth to find a mate after you already have achieved a certain level of success, versus finding a mate before you become successful. Meaning, once you become successful, I think for me, I'd rather find somebody now in the process of me becoming successful because when I become successful, it's gonna be where you want to make sure that person is in it for the right reasons,
The right reason.
opposed to what you could bring, right? As far as success, maybe status, networking, if you have a large following of network connections. I just think it's important for me. I just rather do it now just prior to me getting to a level of success because at least I know if we work together, right? We both in it together. I know that it's genuine. I know that we both put in the work. If the person decides to, if we decide to jump in together, do it, or he decides to help me out in some form of way. But for me, I'd rather just find somebody now because then once it becomes successful, it becomes a question: is it genuine, right? Is it really truly genuine that you're here for me, or is it because I have a certain level of money or status? And I find that a lot of people that have money, I feel like that's the issue. I find out, they have statuses, so it's a trust problem. Oh, this girl want me because of my money,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I,
now you gotta do a prenup now.
I'm not opposed to prenups
Yeah,
either.
me either, but
If you got something to protect, then hey,
not me either.
I think the
Mhm.
conversation is worth being had, and that's men and women, right? Because on both sides, there could be someone who is not there for the right purpose.
Yes.
But look, uh, the way I think about it from the Christian perspective, which is the way I try to attempt everything, is that I'm not concerned. I'm gonna find love when I find it. I'm not gonna wait till I'm successful. I'm not gonna say, it don't have to be now. It could be after I'm successful. Is the way I look at it because um, I just feel like the Lord is in control of everything, right?
Mhm.
I mean, not that we're puppets on a string. We have free will. We do get to make our own decisions and everything. But if what we talked about earlier when we were talking about that vetting process, if we are really looking at the person and look at their heart, see what that person is about, um, then I wouldn't be concerned about,
Mhm.
whether I got with them, whether I had money or before, because if it does advance to a marriage situation, I don't have a problem sharing what I have with the person that I love. And the type of person I'm looking for is don't have a problem sharing with me, and that we're going to be partners. I've been married for 39 years, and in all of those 39 years, now let's just say this: me and Donnie didn't have nothing when we started together, so that's not a thing. But I have made more money than him. He's made more money than me. I used to take care of the finances, paying all the bills. At some time I was too busy. He had to take care of the finances and pay the bills. We had to do whatever it is that we've had to do at different times in our lives, right? Because you're always going through this up and down type of thing. So it's when you make it to the top of the hill, you even in your success, Karen or Gail or Heather or any of us,
Mhm.
it's just another thing waiting for us to go back down in some area of our life, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether it's health wise. It could be a number of things. So I don't ever worry about that type of thing. I say find love whenever you can find it. Look,
Mhm.
the way they talking about these streets is these
Yeah.
dating streets is terrible. I would say when you find somebody you care about, and you've done, like I say, you've done the vetting that they have a good heart,
Yeah,
that they're not dealing with too much trauma, because we brought up the thing about trauma. I think we're all dealing with some type of trauma,
yeah, that's true
that we
too.
do have to overcome, and it doesn't have to hold us down like a cement block or anything like that. We're constantly growing and working, and you want to get someone who is willing to work on whatever their trauma is and everything. And so I'm just saying, look, love the one you with. When you find somebody you like, just love the one you with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I
That is
agree.
definitely
That's a
true.
good
Yeah.
point. Heather, was
Mhm.
it the same for you as well?
Well, Chuck and I have been married for 22 years. We're going to be going on 23 here in a couple of months. For us, I didn't know that I was going to run a business when I met him. I already had 2 kids. I was working a regular 9 to 5 job, and it just progressed so horribly that they fired me when one of my kids was sick. And so from that experience, I was like, maybe I should do something at home so I could be closer to home, be the one responsible to take care of the kids so I don't have to worry about, depending on like a job or something. So that's when I looked into what can I do. And so my husband has been here from the very bottom of like thinking about what it is that I could do, what I specialize in, what I'm good at. And he's been throughout the whole process. So he's been the person that has held my hand and has cried with me when things didn't work out. He's been the person that has cheered me on. He's helped me to get speaking engagements because he heard something that his work was doing, and then he overheard someone say that they were looking for, and then he put me in touch with people. So it's amazing to me that we have gone on like this glow up together,
Yeah.
and we've really become each other's glue. And that's why I like the word partnership so much, is
Mhm.
because I'm not in it just to have a house over my head. I'm not in it just to have a nice car. I'm not in it so that you can bring home the bacon and put food on the table. Like, that's not why I'm in this marriage. I'm in it for friendship. I'm in it for, you're my best friend and I can tell you everything. You're the person I could be the most vulnerable with in my weakest moments and my greatest strengths. And we can go on this ride together, whether it's like Lucille said, it's going to be the down or the up. I mean, that's
Mhm.
life anyway. So if you can find somebody that understands that that is the life process, and to not put too much pressure on it needing to be like this perfect thing right now, that we can just come together right where we're at. And whether I'm at the bottom starting or I've already made $1 million, I'm going to open myself up to you because I'm choosing to open myself up to you. This is a good time for me. This is a good time for the other person. And let's just see where this goes. If it doesn't work out, we just leave with our own separate things, right? No harm, no foul. But at least we gave it a good shot, and at least we put ourselves out there and we were open to love, because I do believe that God created us to be in partnership with the opposite sex. That's just my belief from when I read the Bible. I think we're better together. I really
Mhm.
do. And
Yeah.
I think that the more stuff that you like go through as a couple, the more that solidifies your love for each other. It can only get stronger, and that makes the sexual experience more intensified, because now I'm more relaxed with you. I'm trusting you more because we've gone through so much stuff together. So it's such a beautiful ride if we allow ourselves to get on it and just take off and see
Yeah.
where it goes.
No, that's. I mean, listen. I hope everybody just listen to those two things, especially when it comes to finding love and a partner, right? More than just love, but just a life partner, because really it's about life.
Mhm.
Life is like Lucille just mentioned. It's an up and down scale, so up and down wave. Some days are good, some days are bad, and I think that should be the key in finding somebody who really truly has your back, who's going to be open to conversation, have the difficult conversations, right? When things are, I think that's important. Having a difficult conversation with your partner, even if you know it's gonna make them upset, it's gonna be uncomfortable, right? I think those things are the key in finding a partner. finding a soulmate, like they say, right? If
Absolutely.
so, what about you, girl? Any takeaways for today?
Uh-oh, you on mute.
Yeah, you
You
want
on
one
mute?
single takeaway after I gave our guests that big, long, rambling case
Go ahead,
study?
girl.
My biggest takeaway is I still think know what you want, know when you want
Mhm.
it. And I think the most insightful comment was from Lucille, where she
Mhm.
was saying, if you want someone in your life, you have to make space for them.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. If you are looking for romance and you're busy and you're serious about what you want, then you do have to make space for it because that's what you said you want. So you need to have a strategy and you need to work that strategy and
Oh,
you need to be an adult about it actually.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might. This might be a part two because it mentioned in the comment as far as getting making space for someone. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna open that now. But I think that for ladies, we struggle with making space
Mm.
Yeah.
for
You
someone.
think so?
Some of us do, especially if you've been single for a long time. You're used to doing things yourself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You used to
Lucille,
because you have
she's
to.
saying Gale will struggle to me. She's like, no, that's what she's saying. She's saying it, but she's
Not
not
you,
doing it.
girl.
So I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna make space
No,
for
but I
whatever
think this
I
would be
need
a
to
good
make
conversation.
space
We might. I'm gonna
for.
speak to the
Lucille's
ladies
like,
and
wait,
see.
they do? They do? She means me, Lucille. She means me.
No, I was just thinking, but yeah, once you put it in that context, because I'm gonna use an example. I don't know how many minutes we have left, y'all. I
No,
don't
we
know if
gotta
y'all trying
close.
to.
So I don't.
Okay, but my
I didn't want
daughter,
to go too deep, but ladies, any last words before we close? Because you know, anybody else?
Heather,
No.
what's your advice? What's your one thing that you want people to take away from today's conversation?
Well, I mean, we called this love. I'm just looking at the title, Lovepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
So, if we're talking in the space of we're both entrepreneurs and we're wanting to find love, to me, the word make sounds a little forceful.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. So, to me, to open myself up to space, I need to create. I
Great.
feel the word
Mhm.
create gives me a little bit more freedom and it doesn't feel as stressful. And it's me creating intentionally this
Mhm.
openness to be ready. And I think that if we're have opened ourselves up to be ready, then anything, is possible.
That's
And
dope.
then I know there was one question, I don't think we got to it today, but so many people talk about this balance of work and family and work and sex and work and kids and all this thing. To me, it's the same thing. The word balance, you just create it. If
Mhm.
you want the balance, you create the balance. If you see it off balance, it's because you put priority on one thing over the other.
Mhm.
So that is on you to bring the balance back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, I love
yeah,
that.
I love that one.
Lucille, how are we gonna close out, Lucille?
Well,
Drop some more nuggets for us, Lucille.
I love that what Heather said about creating the space as opposed to the other word that we were using. But yes, I thought about my daughter Lydia. She's 35, I think, and she's dating a young man right now, and she's used to. She has a very supportive family. So I do stuff for her. Dad do stuff. Her brother does stuff. Everybody does. She's a baby of the family, so everybody's doing something for her, right?
Mhm.
So her new guy friend said, "Hey, uh, I know you got your family and they can pick you up from the airport, but I'd really like for you to let me pick you up from the airport."
Oh, how sweet. That's so romantic.
And I thought that I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that is so sweet.
that's nice.
He's
Yeah.
letting you know that I know you got all these other people and they'll absolutely just drop everything and do everything for you. But could you please create some space for me to be able to come and be able to support you too? And so that goes back to what we've been talking about here is that lovepreneurship, one-on-one, we have to create an atmosphere that is welcoming,
Mhm.
Sometimes you're gonna have to. I know you're in New York, but you're gonna have to look up and smile sometimes.
Yes, Karen. Go,
Karen, Gale, when the carpenter comes to do something, you may,
I
when
gotta.
you're ready, you might give
Karen.
him a little,
Or
you know,
Gail's gonna wear something like this when the carpet.
Give me your tip 101.
wait a minute. If she put the bait out like that, then woo-hoo.
She's like,
But
I
I
only
did,
have time for this right now.
but I just
I'll
say
take it. I'll
everybody,
take it.
That's tip number
everybody that
one,
wants
flirting.
love,
Yeah.
be open. Be open for love. Just be looking
Yeah,
for
I
it,
like that. Be
for
open
it
for love.
to
You know,
yeah,
you
be
have
open
to be
for
open
it.
because you
Don't
don't know where it's going to come
you
from.
you never know.
Yeah.
Be
No.
free and open to give it, and that
Mhm.
way your hand is open for you also to receive it.
Ooh,
And
that's
so
a
we
Yes,
don't, when
you.
it's like that, we don't have to be afraid. We can be vulnerable, as Heather was talking about earlier. We can be vulnerable, have those difficult conversations, and speak, to what it is we want, put up those boundaries, manage expectations, Gail, what you said earlier, but be open and free to receive what the Lord has for us.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Amen.
'Cause he's called
Yes.
us to abundance, right? So he wants
Yep.
us
Mhm.
to have
Yes.
Yep. That's
amazing,
true.
I agree.
thriving relationships.
That's
Agreed,
true.
Heather.
I agree.
Thank
Ladies,
you,
thank you.
ladies.
Thank
This was
you
such an
so
awesome
much.
conversation. It's always great to chat with you
Always,
and have
Yeah.
you
always.
cover
Sweetie. I knew
these
it was
things.
gonna be fun because I love them too. Them comments together. Oh, we all
Yeah,
be on
because you
how to
had a hidden
laugh.
agenda with this topic. You knew that.
I did.
It's okay.
You already
She
know I
she
love
be
I'm
acting like
thinking.
it's for people, but it's really for her.
It was for her. It was for her. I knew it from the time she sent it to me. Ah, yeah, this is for her. It's okay.
Yeah. I see Karen over there. She's been taking notes.
Yes, she has.
I'm registering.
Well,
Ladies,
thank
thank
you,
you so much.
ladies.
I
We
appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
ladies.
we really
Thank you for
appreciate
Thank
having
your
us.
you.
time,
Thank
and
you
Yes,
for
we'll have
having
you back
me.
and
again
happy
soon.
Super Bowl to those who gonna be watching the game together.
Yes.
Happy
And
Yes.
Super
Valentine's
Bowl.
Day.
Yes.
Yes,
Or
Happy
Valentine's
see,
Day is
getting
coming
together
up.
with your friends. What do they call that? Galentine's Day?
Galentine's Day. Yeah, that's true. Bye, bye,
Bye, everybody.
everybody. Happy
Bye
Sunday.
bye.
Bye.